Kim from thesquishymonster.com, and today I'm bringing to you a nostalgic childhood treat, for me anyways. One bite into these thin biscuits dipped in bittersweet chocolate and it transports me back to my childhood. So I hope you'll give this homemade Pocky treat a try. To begin, I'm going to mix everything into my food processor. You can, of course, do this by hand, just by cutting it with a pastry cutter if you'd like. This is just going to make my life a little bit easier. So in here, I have some unbleached flour. To that, I'm going to add in some sugar. It's not a fairly sweet biscuit, but you do kind of want to offset all the flavors, especially because I'm adding in some fine salt and some baking powder. And I just want to give that a whiz real quick just to combine all of those dry ingredients. The next two ingredients I'm going to add are some room temperature softened butter, and this is unsalted, so I can control the quantity of salt that I put into my baking recipes. So you want to put that in there, and then you just want to pulse this together until your flour and your butter mixture resemble kind of like coarse meal or the size of peas. It clumps together. So I'm just going to give this a second whirl. Your dough should clump together like this. And don't worry, we're adding in some more liquid to kind of thin out this dough, but you just kind of want to incorporate that softened butter into your dry mixture. So my last bowl I'm going to add in is some sweetened condensed milk and some water to thin that out as well. So you want to pour all that in here and then whirl it a third and final time. When your dough comes together, you can lay it out onto a thin strip of cling wrap, because you're going to wrap all of this and gather the dough and put it into the refrigerator for chill for about 15 to 20 minutes. And just make sure it comes together. It doesn't have to look perfect at this point. And it looks like a little bit of dough because we're going to roll it out so thinly, and the cookies are so delicate and crisp and thin. The biscuits aren't very much. So this is actually going to make a lot more than it looks. So just flatten it out into a rough disc and then just gather up the edges and pop this whole guy into the refrigerator to chill. Now that my dough has chilled, I've just taped down some wax paper just so it's easier to work with. And I'm going to unwrap my dough ball, baby, and it should be ready for me to pinch off and roll into that very characteristic Pocky shape. So I like to eyeball this part. You just do whatever feels good to you. So I'm just going to roll each little thing that I've pinched, each little bit of dough that I've pinched into a ball, and then just slowly turn it into a long, thin rope. And after a little bit of persuasion, you have yourself your first stick. So like I was saying before, it looks like a little bit of dough, but it's going to yield so much. And the quantity really depends on how thin you make it, how long you make it, how big you make it. So really just the most important thing is to have fun with this. There's absolutely no reason to make these look perfect, and because they're homemade, you can tell because it's got that rustic look. But just to mimic that familiar Pocky aesthetic, I'm just going to cut off the ends. But like when you get homemade baguettes, they're kind of pointed on the edges, so if you'd like to keep them like that, then definitely, by all means, it's totally up to you. I just have my oven preheating, and I'm going to basically bake them and dry them out so they get really crisp and crunchy and golden. And the longer you keep them in, the crunchier they will be, so just keep your eye on it. But as always, all of these details will be provided below in the description box and at thesquishymonster.com. Now that my Pocky sticks have cooled, they're hard, crispy, and crunchy and golden brown. I've let them cool so I can dunk them into a pool of melted chocolate. So you can do this over a double boiler, but I'm just going to take the easy route, and I have just some bittersweet chocolate buttons that I'm going to microwave in 30-second bursts in the microwave until it's a glossy, chocolatey sauce consistency that I can dip them into. Now that my chocolate is ready, I can dip my sticks into my melted chocolate. So in order to use less product, I can just tip my cup. So I'm just going to do this and dip them up to the edges until I reach the handle, just like the regular Pocky does. And just twirl them and dip them in that chocolate and allow the excess to drip off. Now you can get really fun and creative with this. You can stud it with dried fruit or nuts or candies or sprinkles, but I think I'm just gonna leave it just as is. So here are my Pocky, and they've just set, the chocolate has at least, and they are ready to serve. You can wrap this up in glassine or tuck them into mason jars and give them out as gifts if you don't devour them all like I am probably thinking about doing. And I just love the contrast between the crunchy and sweet and savory, delicate, crisp biscuit dipped in that bittersweet chocolate, which chocolate coating anything can't be bad. It makes everything so much better. So I hope you guys give this a try, and if you guys like this video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so I know to make more. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. This is Angela Kim from thesquishymonster.com, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!